everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm with Rise Brewing Co. We're a nitro cold brew coffee company based in New York, and I'm really excited to be coming to this conference and give a talk. The title is MVPs for CPGs: How Davids Take on Goliaths. We are certainly still a David in the pretty big and competitive beverage industry, but there's a couple lessons that we've learned in the last couple years that I think apply to small and larger companies alike, and I'd like to touch on those lessons throughout this talk. And so I guess kind of the headline of it is this concept of an MVP, which you typically hear in the tech world, but I think applies just the same to consumer startups. And so MVP stands for minimum viable product, and it's basically the concept of getting something to market that's enough to learn from, as opposed to committing a huge amount of capital before you really know what the market wants, which is kind of the ultimate test. And then I want to touch on some brands that I think are good examples of having an MVP, and then how they iterated and evolved from that initial product. So on the design side, I think there's really good lessons to be drawn from RX Bar, another brand called Koya that was formerly Raw Nature 5. So that'll be kind of the second little section of the talk. And then after that, I want to kind of draw, and I used to work in banking, so I do have some formal office experience, and I think there's something to be learned even just from like a cultural attitude that startups have, and how to kind of incubate that, or at least the good aspects of it at bigger organizations. And so like risk tolerance and hustle and ability to get decisions approved quickly. I'd like to talk about how that's allowing Davids to move really quickly, and maybe there's some components of that Goliaths might try to institute in their organizations. And then next, I want to talk about distribution, and how, despite being smaller, there's certain things that most of the newer brands have as kind of a core expertise, especially when it comes to e-commerce, and how that's allowing them to compete. And then finally, I'd like to discuss kind of niche, and why, especially with like new smaller co-packers and online distribution, you're able to build a food company now that caters to some very, very specific audience, but you can find and target that audience with online ads. And so I think there's some great brands, Fat Snacks. They make keto cookies, really specific, but they're doing fantastically well. And I'd like to talk about them in this larger context of Davids and Goliaths. So I'm always happy to meet anyone in the food and beverage world. Shoot me an email, rsw278@gmail.com, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye.